Hey everyone, Tim Stoddart here. Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, I am going to be explaining the 5 steps you need to follow to start your online business in 2023. Let's get started. Step 1 is to build your website. Yes, every online business needs to have a website. You need to have a home base. You need to have somewhere where you can claim ownership of the content, of your ideas, of your messaging, and somewhere that your content can live on a domain name that you own. Your website will always be the home base for your content, and a valuable website, even in 2023, is the most valuable asset that you could possibly have because it gives you control. If anybody learns about you, they can read about all your content on your website. They can sign up for your email address on your website. Your website could be a media asset that you can package to your revenues if you ever want to sell your business, which will totally amplify the value of your business. There's no reason not to have a website. So step number 1, no matter if it's an e-commerce business, no matter if you're selling your services, no matter if you're selling digital products, no matter if it's a local mom and pop store, you need to have a website because your website is your home base. Step number 2 is to start creating content and to publish that content on your website. You want to use this content to generate search traffic, and then that search traffic is going to convert into email signups and email subscribers. I call this owned content. So content that you publish on your site is owned by you. Content that you send out to your email list, you own your email list. So that's your owned content. I also call it owned distribution. It's the relationship with you and your audience that you own and nobody can take it from you. Basically, your own distribution is your website and your email list. Those are the only 2 things on the internet that you will ever really own. So you want to create those and you want to protect those at all costs. That brings us to step number 3, which is then to create rented content and rented distribution. Rented distribution is basically content that you create and you publish on third-party platforms. So this gets a little nuanced because not every platform is as owned or as rented as the next. There's kind of a sliding scale that you need to follow. But in order, a podcast. A podcast is still technically a rented distribution channel because you don't actually own the RSS feed. iTunes does, or Spotify does. But nonetheless, you still have more control and more ownership over a podcast than you would, say, your Twitter account. After a podcast, I would say a YouTube channel. Yes, Google owns YouTube, and we all know that Google likes to change its algorithms, but there's something about the relationship that you build on YouTube that's very, very personal. And so even if, let's say, 5 years in the future, Google changes the rules and your reach on YouTube isn't what it used to be, it's just the fact that you've built a relationship with your audience through video, and almost always those subscribers convert into podcast listeners and or email signups as well. After that, you want to start creating content on more risky distribution channels. So this is just social media as a whole. If you're going to create Instagram content, if you're going to put content on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, I totally advocate that you use these tools and you use these platforms to grow your reach. But the most important element is that you don't think of these platforms as the brand itself. You think of these platforms as tools to help build your own distribution. So of course, you want to get more followers, you want to get more subscribers, you want to get more likes and retweets, and all of that is great. But if none of your following on, let's say, Twitter is turning into an email subscriber, then you're basically wasting your time because the traffic on Twitter it's unlikely that traffic is going to turn into customers or is going to turn into a client. So to say again, to repeat this, right, in order: podcasts, YouTube channels, and then social media platforms. Step number 4 is to create an autoresponder through your email platform. This is why I don't like using newsletter platforms such as Substack or Beehive. If your business is to create a newsletter, then have at it. You can get started on it. I created a video to teach you how to make $10,000 a month on Substack, and I will link it either up here or up here. However, if you're trying to create a real business where you're selling products or you're selling services, you want to use an email platform like ConvertKit. because this gives you the ability to create automations. And an automation is a way for you to basically sell your services, for you to promote your products, for you to generate revenue to your business without personally having to send every email one by one. So if somebody signs up to your email list, depending on how you want to set it up, there's an infinite amount of ways you can set it up, but you can put that person into an automation. And then the automation sends a series of emails called a sequence. And the purpose of these emails can be whatever you want it to be. So for instance, on Stasi Internet Marketing, on my agency, the series of emails tells people about the great work we've done, about the great results that we've generated, and every one of those emails invites people to book a phone call with me, to book an appointment with me. And it's usually through those appointments that I get my contract signed. Great, so step 5, turn leads into customers. This is an important part of the step because I want to acknowledge the fact that you still have to sell, right? Every online business requires a sale. There's a lot of different ways to sell, and people need to appreciate the fact that this is a skill that you have to actually practice and you have to master. So I used Stasi as an example. For my marketing agency, almost all of the sales come from phone calls. I have Zoom meetings with prospects, I have phone calls with prospects. It takes a week or two, sometimes even months, to build a relationship and build the trust to eventually get a contract signed. But the digital marketing, the digital business gets me to that point, and I still have to have the skill of sales. I still have to know my service. I have to be able to pitch my service. I have to be able to present ways that I'll solve my prospects' problems. It's very important. The digital aspect can get me so far, but I still need to close on the deal, right? So let's imagine the opposite regard. Maybe you're selling a digital product instead of a service. Well, that traffic still has to get to a checkout page. There still needs to be a conversion. And so in this example, it's not necessarily conversation and it's not in-person sales that's going to turn that prospect into a customer, that's going to allow that prospect to give their credit card information and actually buy what it is that you're offering, but rather it's going to be copy. It's going to be a sales page. It's going to be your ability to effectively communicate how you can solve your prospect's problem through a sales page. So that's copywriting. Sometimes that's even making a video which explains why somebody should trust you with their money. Either way, no matter what form of copy you wish to use, you still have to master that skill. So let's review. Step 1, build a website. Step 2, create content that you own and publish it on your website. Step 3, drive even more traffic to your website through rented distribution. This is a podcast, this is YouTube, this is social media. I like Twitter, I like LinkedIn. I've had the best success with them, but I also have some success with Instagram. Step 4, create automations that act as sales reps. The automations sell your product and promote your services for you, so you don't have to send every single email one by one. And then step 5 is to learn how to close, learn how to sell. Whether you're selling in person, whether you're selling on the phone, or whether you're selling through sales pages and copywriting, it's still an art that you need to master. These are the same 5 principles I've been practicing for all of my companies, and these are the foundational principles of online business. Sure, trends can come and go, but if you can master these 5 principles, you'll absolutely have success. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you have any questions, if you want to give me a like and a subscribe, I'd appreciate it. But please leave a comment, especially if you have a question, and I'll make sure I answer it. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you next week. Peace.